Ladies and gentlemen, there are two kinds of people in this world, those who look and those who see. Most look at life, but only a few truly see it. To look is to exist, but to see is to live with purpose. Learning to see means training your mind to observe not just what is obvious, but what lies beneath the surface. A person who has trained their vision sees doors where others see walls. They see stepping stones where others see obstacles. And above all, they see possibility where others only see limitation. Vision is not a gift of nature, it is a discipline of the mind. You must teach yourself to look at failure and see feedback, to look at rejection and see redirection, to look at struggle and see strength being born. The mind has a lens, your beliefs shape that lens. If your beliefs are narrow, your vision is narrow. But expand your beliefs and you expand your reality. Too many people go through life with their eyes wide open, but their minds tightly shut. They wait for proof before belief, instead of believing before proof appears. They say, "I'll believe it when I see it." But those who achieve greatness say, "I'll see it because I believe it." If you wish to rise, you must train your eyes. Not just the physical ones, but the eyes of your mind. You must learn to spot opportunities in the disguise of hard work. You must learn to see lessons in defeat, allies in criticism, and direction in every detour. Remember, the world will never hand you clarity. You must create it. You must sharpen your vision, tune your inner lens, and make it a daily habit to look deeper, at others, at circumstances, and most importantly, at yourself. Learn to see, not as the world wants you to, but as the world can be. Once you choose to look with the eyes of possibility, true vision goes beyond eyesight. It requires insight. You can have perfect 20/20 vision and still be completely blind to the truth of your own life, your potential, or the opportunities around you. Seeing clearly isn't just about what your eyes can register. It's about what your mind is trained to recognize and what your heart is prepared to believe. Most people go through life depending only on their physical senses. They trust what they can touch, taste, or see with their eyes. But the real power, the kind that transforms lives, is born from developing the inner eye, the vision that doesn't come from the eyes, but from the understanding. Let me be clear. Vision is not a passive act. It's an intentional skill that must be developed like any other. Just as an athlete trains their body, a visionary trains their mind. If you want to see success before others do, you need to practice seeing what others miss. You need to observe patterns, sense energy, and read between the lines of people's actions and your own emotions. It's not enough to simply watch the world. You must study it, reflect on it, learn to decode it, because buried beneath the surface of everyday life are answers, ideas, solutions, and chances that only a trained mind can recognize. People who live on autopilot rarely see anything new. They wake up, go through their routine, and go to bed. Their world becomes small, not because they lack intelligence, but because they've never trained themselves to see. They look at problems and only see dead ends. They look at dreams and only see the risk. They meet people and only see what's on the outside. They never stop to ask, "What am I not seeing here?" That one question can shift the trajectory of your life. Insight begins when you challenge your assumptions. If you believe that you're stuck, you'll only see more evidence of why you're stuck. But if you believe there's a way forward, even if it's hidden, you begin to search differently. That belief opens your inner eye. Suddenly, you notice a book, a conversation, a post online, a random thought, and it leads you to the next step. Was it always there? Yes, but you couldn't see it until your mind was ready. This is why clarity is so valuable. When you have clarity of purpose, your vision sharpens. You begin to filter out distractions. You become more selective with your time, more aware of your energy, more focused on what truly matters. People without inner vision often feel lost, pulled in 100 directions. They chase trends. They mimic others. But those with inner sight, true vision, they create their own path. They don't need someone else to light the way. They become the light. You must understand vision is not mystical. It's practical. It's about learning how to see patterns, cause and effect, and the truth beneath appearance. It's the difference between reacting emotionally and responding wisely. It's the ability to pause in the middle of chaos and ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That one moment of pause, of reflection, can reveal more than years of blindly pushing forward. Great leaders, artists, innovators, and achievers all had this trait in common. They could see what others couldn't. Not because they were born with superpowers, but because they paid attention. They trained themselves to observe human behavior, to listen more than they spoke, and to question what most people take for granted. That level of awareness doesn't come by accident. It comes through practice. And the good news is it's available to anyone who's willing to do the work. So if you want to change your life, start by changing the way you see. Ask yourself better questions. Stop assuming you already know everything there is to know. Stay curious, stay observant, and most of all, stay humble enough to admit when you've been blind. Because the moment you admit you haven't been seeing clearly is the moment you finally start to. Eyesight is given. Insight is earned. Don't just look, learn to see. Your future depends on it. You can only change what you're willing to recognize. This truth is simple, but it holds incredible power. Nothing in your life can transform until you first see it for what it truly is. And yet, most people live in a constant state of denial. Not because they want to lie to themselves, but because facing the truth often feels uncomfortable. Growth demands honesty, and honesty demands courage. The very first step to real change is not action, it's awareness. You must become brutally honest with yourself before you can build anything meaningful. Think of your life as a mirror. It reflects back what you project into it. If your mind is cluttered, your results will be too. If you carry fear, it will show up in your choices. If you're driven by insecurity, it will echo in your relationships, your career, and your self-worth. But here's the thing, none of this changes until you look into that mirror and see, not glance, not ignore. See your habits, see your beliefs, see your patterns, see your excuses. Until you're willing to recognize them, you'll remain stuck repeating the same cycles, wondering why nothing ever changes. Change doesn't begin when you get a new job, start a new routine, or meet the right person. Change begins when you're ready to confront the parts of you that you've been avoiding. Many people blame outside circumstances for their lack of progress, but they haven't paused long enough to ask themselves, what part am I playing in this? The moment you take ownership is the moment the game changes. But ownership only comes after recognition. You cannot fix what you refuse to admit is broken. Recognition is not judgment, it's clarity. It's not about labeling yourself as a failure or a mess. It's about gaining insight into the truth of where you are, so you can map out where you want to go. Pretending everything is fine doesn't make it so. Telling yourself you're okay when you're not doesn't create strength. It delays healing. True strength comes from saying, this isn't working. I've got to change something. That level of self-awareness is the foundation of all progress. So why do so many people avoid it? Because recognition forces responsibility. When you see clearly, you can no longer hide behind distractions or excuses. You can't blame everyone else for your pain. You can't keep waiting for a miracle or a lucky break. You realize that the power has been in your hands the whole time, and that scares people. Because when you have power, you also have no excuse to stay the same. But here's the beauty: recognition also brings freedom. Once you recognize what's holding you back, be it fear, laziness, doubt, or limiting beliefs, you finally have the power to do something about it. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. At first, the brightness hurts your eyes. You squint, you flinch, maybe even try to shut it off. But if you keep looking, if you stay with it, you start to see everything clearly. You realize where you are, what's in your way, and most importantly, the path forward. People who grow fast in life aren't necessarily smarter. They're more honest. They don't pretend to have it all figured out. They're just willing to look at their flaws, their mistakes, their blind spots, and say, okay, I see it now. What can I do about it? That mindset is what creates real progress. Because once you can see the problem, you can begin crafting the solution. Recognition isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Every morning you have the opportunity to ask, what am I ignoring? What am I tolerating that I shouldn't be? What do I need to face today that I've been avoiding? The more you ask, the more you see. And the more you see, the more power you gain. If you truly want to change your life, don't start by doing. Start by seeing. Start by observing. Start by being honest with yourself. Not everything you discover will feel good, but everything you face will make you stronger. You don't need a new reality. You need to open your eyes to the one you're already living, and then take full control of it. Because in the end, you can only rise as high as you're willing to see. Your reality is shaped not by what exists, but by what you focus on. Two people can be in the exact same situation and experience it completely differently, simply because of what they choose to see. One sees a challenge and feels defeated. The other sees the same challenge and feels awakened, motivated, inspired to rise. This is not luck or personality, it's perspective. Your perspective is the lens through which you interpret the world, and it decides everything from your mood to your motivation, your decisions to your destiny. Think about this. Your mind filters out thousands of pieces of information every second. It can't process everything, so it focuses only on what it believes is most important. But what it believes is based on you, your beliefs, your values, your fears, your desires. That means your perception of reality is never objective. It's personal. And unless you train your focus deliberately, you'll keep reinforcing the same beliefs, the same stories, and the same outcomes. The world is not as it is as you are. Most people don't understand how powerful their focus is. They give it away carelessly. They focus on what they lack instead of what they have. They focus on what they fear instead of what they can build. They focus on what's wrong instead of what's possible. Then they wonder why their lives feel heavy, stagnant, hopeless. It's not that life is against them, it's that their attention is. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you spend your energy feeding doubt, pain, and limitation, you'll keep attracting more of the same. But here's the incredible truth. You can change your reality by changing your focus. You can shift your entire life by shifting what you look for. When you begin to focus on solutions instead of problems, you find answers. When you focus on what's working instead of what's broken, you create momentum. When you focus on growth instead of perfection, you begin to evolve. It's not about ignoring your struggles. It's about refusing to let them define your vision. Your focus is your power. It's the steering wheel of your life. If you let distractions, opinions, or fear grab the wheel, you'll end up in places you never wanted to go. But when you take control of your focus, you take control of your direction. That's how you move from confusion to clarity, from weakness to strength, from existing to truly living. But make no mistake, focus is not easy. It requires discipline. It means saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's necessary. It means training your mind daily, just like you would train a muscle. You must become aware of what you're constantly giving your attention to. Are you focused on progress or problems? Are you stuck in comparison or focused on your own path? Are you caught in past regrets or aligned with future vision? Whatever you focus on, you feed. If you want to stop feeding what's holding you back, stop looking at it so often. Redirect your energy to what lifts you, strengthens you, moves you forward. Even in moments of pain, you have a choice. You can focus on the loss or the lesson. You can focus on the setback or the setup. That doesn't mean you pretend things are fine when they're not. It means you become intentional about what you magnify. Pain is part of life, but suffering is often a result of focus. If all you see is what's missing, you'll always feel empty. But if you train yourself to see even the smallest win, the tiniest progress, the quiet strength inside you, you'll feel empowered. Change your focus and you'll change your feelings. Change your feelings and you'll change your behavior. Change your behavior and you'll change your life. It all starts with what you choose to see. If you want to build a life of meaning, impact, and joy, stop letting your focus be hijacked by fear, negativity, and distraction. Take it back. Aim it like a laser at what you want to create. See it. Believe it. Focus on it daily, and your reality will begin to match your vision. The greatest breakthroughs in life come not when you're surrounded by answers, but when you're surrounded by silence, and you finally begin to ask yourself the right questions. Most people are not stuck because of a lack of ability, but because they've never paused long enough to examine their own thinking. They keep doing, running, striving, without stopping to ask why they're doing it or where they're actually headed. They climb ladders only to realize they're leaning against the wrong wall. They chase goals that don't belong to them, chase dreams inherited from others, and then wonder why it all feels empty. The key to clarity is not more noise, it's more depth. It's the decision to go inward and see what's truly driving your choices. Ask yourself, what do I believe about success, about failure, about myself? When did I first start believing that? Who gave me that belief? Is it still serving me? If not, why am I still carrying it? Most people never stop to ask these kinds of questions because they're afraid of the answers. They fear that if they dig too deep, they might find something uncomfortable. But what they don't realize is that discomfort is the door to transformation. You cannot grow beyond your current mindset unless you're willing to examine and challenge it. We live in a world that encourages more input. more content, more opinions, more advice. But real growth begins when you shut all of that off and listen to yourself. That voice inside you knows what you need. It knows what excites you, what drains you, what you're meant to do. But you have to create space to hear it. That means turning down the volume of everything around you long enough to ask yourself the hard questions. The ones that peel back the layers and expose the truth beneath the surface. Why am I really doing this? Is this goal mine, or is it something I think I should want? Am I operating from passion or pressure? Am I being led by vision or by fear? These aren't casual questions. They are the kind of questions that crack foundations. But that's exactly what they're supposed to do. Because if the foundation you're standing on was built on false ideas, old wounds, or someone else's expectations, it's better to let it crack so you can rebuild on truth. Once you start asking these deeper questions, something powerful happens. You begin to reclaim your identity. You begin to separate who you truly are from who the world told you to be. You begin to strip away the layers of performance, the mask, the roles, and you start reconnecting with your core. That's where your real strength lies. That's where purpose begins. Not in what you've been told to do, but in what resonates deeply within your spirit. This process isn't always neat. In fact, it's often messy. You may discover that your current path no longer fits who you've become. You may realize that certain people, habits, or environments are limiting your growth. That's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. But to reach it, you must be willing to sit in the discomfort of honest questions. You must be brave enough to face the answers without judgment, and wise enough to act on what you discover. The reason most people stay stuck is not because they lack goals. It's because they lack inner alignment. They're running toward a future that doesn't match their inner truth. That disconnect creates resistance, confusion, burnout. The solution isn't to push harder. It's to pause and go deeper. When you ask the right questions, you stop living on autopilot. You stop being reactive and start becoming intentional. You stop chasing and start choosing. Questions shape direction. The quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions you ask yourself every day. Am I growing or just going through the motions? Am I living for likes or for legacy? Am I waiting for permission or am I creating my path? The more honest you are with yourself, the more power you unlock. So, give yourself the space to question everything, not to create doubt, but to uncover truth. Don't just seek motivation, seek understanding. Don't just chase achievement, seek alignment. Your answers are already inside you, but you'll never find them if you're afraid to ask the questions that matter. In every moment, life is giving you signals. Some are loud, like failures that shake you or opportunities that flash before your eyes. Others are quiet, like a whisper of intuition or a subtle discomfort that keeps tugging at your spirit. But whether they come as whispers or roars, those signals are guiding you. The problem is, most people don't see them. Not because the signals aren't there, but because their vision is clouded. It's clouded by distraction, by doubt, by preconceived ideas of what their life is supposed to look like. They miss the signs because they're not looking through eyes of awareness. They're looking through the lens of habit, fear, and social conditioning. And until you learn to see beyond that, you'll keep stumbling past the very opportunities that were meant for your transformation. There's a profound difference between looking and seeing. You can look at something 100 times and still not see it. You can look at your life and only see the routine, the frustration, the limitation. Or you can learn to see deeper, to see the lessons in the losses, the growth in the pain, the message behind the mess. Every delay you've experienced, every rejection, every closed door, it all carried a message. But did you hear it? Did you see what it was trying to show you? Because until you do, life will keep repeating the lesson. Learning to see means training your mind to recognize the pattern beneath the chaos. It means stepping back from your emotions just long enough to ask, what is this trying to teach me? Why is this showing up now? Is there something I haven't dealt with, something I'm resisting, something I've outgrown? Most people don't ask those questions. They just react. And when you live in reaction, you miss the revelation. The real power comes when you can pause, observe, and extract the wisdom from what's happening. But seeing isn't just about reflection. It's about projection too. You have to learn to see not only where you are, but where you're going. Most people are walking into the future blindfolded by their past. They're so focused on what went wrong that they can't see what could go right. They've trained their mind to expect disappointment, and so they overlook the door that's already open. Your future won't show up in full color unless you learn to paint it first in your imagination. What do you see when you close your eyes and think about what's possible for you? Do you see vision, or do you see limitation? Do you see doors, or do you see walls? Because what you consistently see in your mind is what you will ultimately walk into. Learn to see possibility in the middle of pressure. Learn to see light in the darkest moments. Learn to see beyond what's visible, because real vision isn't about what your eyes pick up. It's about what your spirit recognizes. It's about noticing the shifts, feeling the pull, and moving even when you're not entirely sure where it's leading. That's where growth happens, in the willingness to follow what only you can feel. The most successful people aren't always the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who saw what others missed. They saw a need, a gap, a trend, a moment, and they moved. They had the courage to act on what they saw before anyone else believed in it. But to do that, they had to be awake. They had to be present. They had to be aware. Because without awareness, you'll keep walking past the very opportunity that was sent to change your life. So start paying attention, not just to what's happening around you, but to what's happening within you. Notice when something doesn't feel right. Don't ignore it. Notice when you feel drawn to something. Don't dismiss it. Your inner compass is always sending you signals, but you have to learn to trust it. The moment you open your eyes, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually, you'll begin to see the world differently. You'll see answers where you once saw obstacles. You'll see a path where there once was none. And you'll realize that the power was never outside of you. It was always in your ability to see. One of the most powerful decisions you can ever make in your life is the decision to question everything you've been taught to believe about yourself. From the time you were a child, the world began to shape your perception. What's possible, what's acceptable, what success looks like, and most importantly, who you are. And often, the image that gets built for you has more to do with fear and limitation than truth and potential. You were told what to do, what not to do, how far you could go, and where you should stop. But what if the boundaries they gave you were never real? What if they were only the reflections of someone else's fears, failures, or lack of vision? We inherit beliefs like we inherit eye color through exposure, repetition, and environment. But the beliefs you didn't choose are often the ones that limit you the most. Maybe someone told you that you weren't smart enough, that you didn't have the right background, that people like you don't make it to the top. And because you were young or unsure, or just trying to belong, you believed them. Not consciously, but deep down you absorbed it. It became the filter through which you saw every opportunity. That's why you hesitated when you should have acted. That's why you said no to yourself before the world even had the chance. But here's the truth. If you don't challenge the program running in your subconscious mind, it will quietly run your life for you, and you'll call it fate. Learning to see begins with learning to question, not in a rebellious way, but in a conscious way. Why do I think this way? Where did that idea come from? Who told me this was impossible? What if they were wrong? When you start asking these questions, you start waking up. You start noticing that some of the limits you've been living under are completely imaginary. You start to see that normal isn't the same as right, and what's popular isn't always what's powerful. The more you question, the more you realize that most people aren't thinking. They're just repeating. Repeating what they were told, what they heard, what they saw others do. But you're not here to repeat. You're here to create. To do that, you've got to clear out the noise and rebuild your beliefs from the ground up. Ask yourself, what do I believe about failure? Do I see it as a reflection of who I am, or as a step on the way to who I'm becoming? What do I believe about wealth, success, love, and power? Are those beliefs serving me, or are they sabotaging me? Are they lifting me, or limiting me? The beliefs you carry either become your wins or your weights. They either elevate you or hold you down. But the beautiful part is this: beliefs can be changed. And once they change, your vision changes. You stop seeing problems as stop signs and start seeing them as puzzles to solve. You stop shrinking to fit in and start expanding to stand out. You stop looking for permission and start moving with purpose. Every great transformation begins with a moment of truth, the moment you decide to look within and rewrite the story. Because if you want to change your life, you don't start with your schedule, your habits, or your income. You start with your beliefs. What you truly believe will dictate how far you'll go, how long you'll last, and how high you'll rise. And when your beliefs are aligned with truth, courage, and vision, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not rejection, not even fear. Why? Because you'll no longer be acting out of the past. You'll be acting from your potential. Your greatest responsibility is not to protect the identity the world gave you. It's to uncover the identity you were born with. And you do that by questioning, challenging, and replacing every limiting belief with one that aligns with who you really are, not who they said you were, not who your circumstances tried to make you, but who you are at your core, powerful, creative, resourceful, and capable of far more than you've ever been told. So question everything, not because everything is wrong, but because so much of it was never yours to begin with. And once you clear away the false, the truth will rise. And when it does, you'll see not only the world differently, you'll see yourself differently. And that, more than anything else, is the beginning of real power.